Hey, this is Jill Gavargazian.
Chris Knitter.
Hey, this is Jordan Rio. We're from 42 Counts, and you're listening to Without Your Head.
Welcome to the station of decapitation without your head. I'm Nasty Neal, and I'm joined by Chloe Traicos, writer and the star of The Devil's Cove. How are you doing?
I'm good, thank you.
Excellent. So it's opening in theaters August 3rd in LA, and I know you've already screened it places. So what is it like to watch it, the movie you wrote, and you're in with an audience?
It's good. It's quite scary. I think when you're watching it up there, you've seen it so many times. I think what you're afraid of is a technological error, like the film freezing or something. So you kind of, I'm kind of always sitting there just kind of watching as please can just go smoothly, please can it just play all the way through with no problems. So that's sort of the main worry. It's and then of course you watching it, you're kind of hoping that they're going to laugh at the right parts and react,
Right.
react well at the right moments. That's sort of also the things that are going through your head. Yep.
Mm-hmm. Along those lines, because I've done some festivals lately, and some of the people are surprised, when their movie plays and people laugh at parts they don't think they would. Or are you ever surprised by anything like that?
I was when we had the New York screening. There were a lot of laughs, which my character got, and I thought, wow, that's not funny. That's actually quite dark. But then I realized, it is actually quite funny. It's, and the character as I played her is not, she's a complete sociopath. She takes everything lightly. So, it was just kind of, I realized that, actually a lot of those lines, which you get so close to because you're filming it and you kind of don't realize, that they are actually funny. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Did you write the character for you?
Yes.
Well, what was it about the character you thought? Well, first of all, what was it about the character that you created it, and what is it about it that you thought you'd be good performing it?
Well, it wasn't so much I thought I'd be good. It was more like a challenge. It was like Jackie's a complete sociopath. I'm fascinated by sociopaths. I read a lot about them, and I've always wanted to play one. So I kind of sort of put together the screenplay. And thought that, I would, this is what I'd like to do. So it was kind of, it was just really refreshing to play someone that was completely evil and with no sense of remorse at all. So, that was just kind of, that was sort of just why where the sort of inspiration came from. And then I just built on it from there.
What's the difference between a psychopath and a sociopath?
That's a question you have to ask a psychologist.
Right.
I don't actually know. I mean, from what I know, I think it is that, from what I read, and again, there are different schools of thought that will say this isn't true. But from what I read, they actually were called psychopaths, but they changed the name to sociopath because the word psycho implied that they were insane and that there was something mentally wrong with them.
Mm-hmm.
Which technically there isn't. They're actually normal. They just have no conscience. So that was where when the term sociopath developed. That's one thing I read when I was doing all my research. That was I think it was Robert Hare who wrote the book Without Conscience, which I got a lot of inspiration from. But I think that's really, that's a question for psychologists. I think that's one which they are still debating and talking about whether it's psychopath or sociopath. They both basically are people without a conscience. But from what I read, that's how the term sociopath came in. But again, don't quote me because I'm not sure how correct that is. Yeah.
Right. You said when you were researching it, did you research it specifically for the movie, or was it something you were just interested in?
No. It's something I've just been interested in for years. It's just something which I've read about for years, and then this idea came to me, and then obviously when I wrote the script and played the role, I researched it in more detail. But it's something which I've always read about for years. I'm a huge reader of true crime books, sort of like the crime books that, talk about real crimes that have happened. And I'm very interested in, how they happen, how they're solved. And so I've kind of like read about it for a while. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Did you ever go to the Museum of Murder, or is it the Museum of Death? I think it is Museum of Death in Hollywood.
Oh, I didn't know about that. Sorry. Say that again. Yeah,
It's a Museum of Death in Hollywood.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
I've never been there. I mean, admittedly, I've only lived in LA 7 years, but that does sound interesting. I will check that out.
Yeah, I think you'd like it. I went there when I was in LA, I think 4 years ago, and it's really interesting.
Oh, there we go. Yes.
Yeah, and they had a lot of stuff from real life serial killers, and
wow,
it's interesting. It's not for everybody, but I think you might be up your alley.
Oh, that would absolutely fascinate me. Yeah, for sure. That I actually think I will make a point of going there. Thank you so much.
Yeah, definitely. So that's a weird. Is there, besides being a sociopath, is there anything autobiographical about any of the characters in the movie?
Besides being a sociopath, no. I mean, look, all of my characters are based on real people. I always do that. It's just the thing with my writing. I've met many people who are characters over the years who I've kind of always wanted to put in a script, and this kind of was my way of sort of putting them all in one together. But yeah, no, there's nothing really, nothing autobiographical at all about it. I mean, it was just kind of an idea that came to me, sort of the sort of a, new girl in town, completely, out of her league with all the crazy she's surrounded by, and then just gets caught up with gets caught up with bad people. It was just kind of an idea that came and that gelled, and I guess so no, nothing really biographical.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, well, that's probably good. But so how did you come? How did you know the director Eric Lundmark before, or how did he get involved in the movie?
Yes. Eric directed me in a music video at the start of 2016, and I sort of saw how he worked, and I saw he had a really good eye, and and we got on really well. And so I contacted him when I came up with, when I was writing the script later on that year, and I said, look, I want to, would you be interested in directing this? And then he read the script and he really liked it. And we were just on the same page kind of thing as far as ideas were concerned. So, so it was just like, I knew him. I'd seen his work. I mean, essentially this is his first feature. He's directed documentaries and music videos. And, but so it was a challenge for him as well. But he, that was, I sort of, I did know his work. I did sort of know his work before, and when I approached him.
Mm-hmm. So, what's it like to be directed, I guess, in a movie that you wrote? Were you both on the same page with everything?
Oh yeah, I mean we are. I mean Eric got it, which was great. He totally got the whole what it was about, what it was, what the whole message. So it was kind of great for me. I could just kind of relax and trust him to take over. And that's great. I mean, like when I'm on set, I want to just concentrate on my character. I don't want to be thinking about the script or anything like that. And so that's kind of, and that's why it was really good working with Eric, because he just was able to take over. So, I mean, it's really cool. I do really like being directed by someone who's sort of directing the story I wrote and who just absolutely gets that. And is just sort of, and then of course adding his own ideas, which were great, and which added further to the story. So, it was a great experience.
Mm-hmm. Crystal, who plays Tony, your girlfriend in the movie, how did she get casted?
We held auditions, and she was really, really good. It was very close between her and another girl who was also really good, but it's just, it's one of those things with the industry. It's you always have to pick one. And no, I mean she was good. She was fantastic at her audition, and that was we just and that was that was how we found her.
Mm-hmm. What was it about her that you thought was right for Tony?
I think a lot of it is that she has a lot of that naivety, which came across well at her audition, which Tony really needs. Tony is a very sort of naive character, even though she's had a pretty tough life with a lot of abuse in her past. She still is very naive in the way she sees things, and she still, when she first meets Jackie, she kind of sees Jackie as her savior. So Christelle had that, which was a real, that was something we automatically liked about her.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, not to give too much away in the movie, but like you just said about being naive, and your character Jackie's kind of her savior, you think, but really preying on her at the same time.
Right, of course, yeah, totally taking advantage of her, yeah.
Mm-hmm. And I like that there's well, Tony's actually Crystal's younger actress, but I like that there's a lot of veteran actors in the movie.
Yes. Well, I mean, it's like, I mean, sort of Devil's Cove is it's kind of meant to be this sort of town where kind of everyone there's got a criminal past, and so it's people who've kind of been there, done that, and are now sort of hiding out from the law. This is kind of where they, where they live, where they, where they kind of, where they kind of base now. It's kind of, they kind of like have sort of dropped out from society.
Mm-hmm. Where did you film it? Where did you film Devil's Cove?
We actually filmed mostly in Lancaster, and then the bar scenes were in San Bernardino. So so we shot outside of LA.
Was it a real bar?
Yeah, it was a real bar.
Mm-hmm. Was somebody you knew, or how did you get the bar?
Eric, our director, and Ron Eltoff, who was the one producer, they knew a lot of people in the neighborhood, and they did a lot of good deals, for locations and stuff. So we, so we found, that was how we found them. Yep.
Yeah. You have an interesting accent. Where are you from?
Oh, initially from Zimbabwe and Africa via Australia. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Oh, well, it has come together I don't think I've ever heard anyone with quite the same accent.
Oh, that's so fun. Thank you.
You're very welcome. So I read that it cost like under $10,000 to make the whole movie. So how long did it take to shoot?
Well, we shot it on 10 grand, and it was about, we did it in 10 days, the initial lot, and then we came back and did the car scenes, which was another 2 days, and then we did have to do a few reshoots, which was another 2 days worth. So I guess you could say, to be exact, it was probably about 2 weeks worth of shooting all up.
Mm-hmm. Did everything go well?
It did. It actually was a very smooth shoot. Eric was a very good director. He had everything planned. He knew exactly what shots he wanted. And he also knew not to sort of, when you're on a low budget, it's very, time is very precious. So he also knew, just how long we could spend on each thing before we had to move on. Yep.
Yeah. So you mentioned before about the New York International Film Festival. And
yes.
So what was that experience like for you?
That was great. That was essentially the first screening of it. And I flew over there, and it went down very well. I was very pleased. I was very well received over there. And we got a few award nominations, which was great. So that was really thrilling for our first screening.
Yeah. By the way, I'm still thinking about you from Zimbabwe, and then how did you end up? How did you end up in the States and being part of being an actress?
Well, being an actress is, it's something I've always wanted to do. There was never anything else for me. It was just, even, living in Zimbabwe where there was no film industry. I always knew this was what I was going to do. And then my family immigrated when I left school. We moved to Australia. And so I got into the film industry there. And then I think, LA is the ultimate next step. It's just sort of, this is where the movies are made. This is where everyone sort of eventually ends up. So I guess it was just a case of, I came, so then, my family are also in Australia, and I moved over here.
Mm-hmm. Well, how different was that when you end up in LA? How different is the culture?
It is pretty different. It's, of course, there's the sort of the normal stuff that, driving on the other side of the road, which right. I had to learn to do pretty fast because you can't afford to take taxis or Ubers everywhere all the time. You kind of do need a car. And so that was something which I had to get over my fear of that. And it just also things you have to learn, it's American. It is a different language for a lot of things. Like, if you say things like, I can remember saying to someone the one time I was talking about the car park and they didn't know what I was talking about. And whereas here you call it a parking lot, but in Australia it's you say the car park. Just little things like that. You have to learn to adapt and use the language. So it's very so it is. that's another thing. But yeah, no, I mean, look, I think I adapted fairly quickly. It's like, I do love it over here, and the people are very, very friendly, which is good. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Have your parents seen your movie, Devil's Cove?
My mom is going to be seeing it at the premiere this week. I don't know if I want my dad to see it. I don't think he could handle it. They still, still see me as a little girl, so me in a role that's even remotely sexual completely freaks them out.
Sure.
Especially my dad. But my mom's struggling with it, but she promises she's going to be there. So it's, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
But
so
yeah, so it's
well, I was to say, you said you always wanted to be an actor. So what were some of the movies that made you want to become an actor?
I don't really think, it was like very weird. I was just like, I don't think I was really one of those kids who's inspired by a particular movie. It was just, I just was this kid who lived in this dream world all the time. I was always imagining I was someone else. And then as soon as I learned that, oh wow, there are actually jobs out there where you do actually pretend, where people do this for a living. That was kind of it for me. It was like, so it wasn't, I don't think there was any specific movie that inspired me. It was just kind of just something which I was just always doing. I was just always imagining something. I was always creating something in my head. So, it was just, just something that was always there.
Along those lines, since you also wrote Devil's Cove, do you have a preference in writing or acting, or is it kind of like you just said, creating something?
Oh no, I mean, I love both. I love both writing and acting. It's just if an idea inspires me, I'll go for it, whatever, So it's I genuinely love them both.
Mm-hmm. There's a lot of interesting music in the movie.
Yes.
Who chose the music?
Well, we both did. Eric is also a music composer. He's a very, very gifted music composer. So he did the score, and then we just kind of went through, just the sort of ideas we had. We kind of wanted music that sort of sounded like it was something that you would hear in a small town, and that's kind of that's kind of that's kind of what we went with. I did, my sister's a singer, and so she composed 2 of the songs that were in there. She didn't do it specifically for this movie. They were just songs of hers, which I knew would sound really good in it. So, but we just, we kind of, that was the feel we wanted. We sort of wanted the sort of small town feel.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. So, do you know how within it's not really a horror movie, but within kind of, I guess, the genre. I mean, go on. Sorry.
Yeah, it's a road movie, a psychological thriller to an extent. Yeah, it's not a horror, but yeah, it's more of a thriller, I think. Yeah.
I'm not one who gets really. Some people get really angry about what genre something is, but to me, it doesn't really make much of a difference. If it's a good movie, it doesn't really matter.
Yeah. No, for sure, exactly.
So, so where is it playing? Do you know exactly in LA?
At the Lamley. It's playing at the Lamley. It opens on the 3rd, and it's playing for a week unless it does really well, and then it will play for longer. So we're all hoping it does well, of course.
Yeah, of course. And from there, do you know what the plans are for video on demand or DVD?
Yeah, we have an online release scheduled for February. So, February, I didn't know this, but apparently February is Women's Month. So that's when we're going to release it online, and it's going to sort of go across all the platforms, iTunes, Amazon, all of them.
Yeah. Also my birthday month.
Oh, it is?
Yeah.
Oh, wonderful.
Yeah. That's Women in Horror Month.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. That's very cool. How important is video on demand to independent films?
I'm not exactly sure, to be honest. But I think the majority of films now are being sold, and the independent ones, they do tend to make most of their money back with the online sales. Mm-hmm. but I don't know. I mean, I think that's a question for a distributor. I wouldn't be able to answer that honestly. Yep.
Mm-hmm. Now, I know this is Eric's first feature that he directed. Is this the first feature that you've starred in and wrote?
No, I did a few others in Australia. I did I Wish I Was Stephanie V, which was my first one, which opened in New York Film Festival back in 2011, and that one did have it. That had a good festival run, and then I did another one shortly after that called Next Door to the Villainskis, which had a brief theatrical release over here in the U.S. But this is my first U.S.-based one. This is the first one I've made over here. The others will have all been Australian.
Mm-hmm. Do you know where you can find those, if it's possible?
Yeah, I can send you links.
Okay.
They are online, but yes, I'm happy to send you links when we
Very
when
cool.
we hang up. Yep. Yeah.
Yeah. Very good. So what kind of movies do you like? I know you said nothing really inspired you to become an actor, but what are the movies that you like?
To watch?
Yeah.
I love. I love movies with strong female leads, obviously, because I just think it's very. I like the female protagonist. I love biopics, and I love thrillers, and I love and of course I still am old, very much a girl, and that I like romantic comedies. Those are kind of my three favorite genres. But yeah, so yeah, thrillers, psychological thrillers, especially, and then biopics with a good story I like, and then and romantic comedies. Those are pretty much my three favorite.
Mm-hmm. Do you have any specific ones that you would pick as your favorite movies?
Favorite? I think my favorite movie of all time is My Fair Lady.
Okay.
That was, and then favorite movies recently. Gosh, there are a lot. A lot of brilliant movies. Obviously, Thelma and Louise is a favorite. This coming year with the Oscar nominees this year, one of the best ones I thought was I, Tonya, which was a great biopic.
Very good movie.
That was great, and that was very well done. I also, what else? I love movies. The King's Speech from a few years ago, that was brilliant. I think, and that was also a historical biopic. Oh God, there's so many. I'm just thinking of the few off the top of my head here. But, probably one of the best movies I saw in recent years was one called Remember, which was with Christopher Plummer, where he plays a Holocaust survivor. Absolutely brilliant movie. Phenomenal acting. That's probably one of the best ones I've seen recently. But that's sort of a few.
Yeah. Is there any, if you could make a biopic of someone and star in it yourself, is there anyone that comes to mind?
I'm not exactly sure. There are a lot of inspiring people. I think I'd like to do someone who, it's sort of the idea. I don't think I've found that one yet, but I think I'd like to play a woman who kind of does something that changes history, or sort of a really great, someone who kind of, does something to change the world. That's the sort of, that's the kind of story I like. Kind of Erin Brockovich type. That sort of, someone who kind of comes from a fairly normal background and then does something that changes lives for people, which is that's the kind of my favorite kind of story.
Mm-hmm. Was it hard to get into the role of Jackie, to play a villain, a sociopath?
I'm so glad you worded it like that. I've had some people ask me if I could, could I relate to the character? I was like, I really hope not. It was, look, as I said, I read a lot about it, and I did, yes, I tended to get into the way a sociopath thinks for the, for the role. I said to my cast and crew members on set that I was going to be in character, so I kind of did I didn't socialize in between takes. That was just because I needed to concentrate. And so I just kind of I was trying to just, I just sort of would think the way Jackie thought in between takes, and would, that was just sort of how how I sort of prepared for the role.
Mm-hmm. So where can you follow the movie? Like, so you can see, you know, what's coming up next.
I mean, we have a Facebook page. Right now we have a Facebook page before we have our online release. So the Facebook page is, if you just put in Devil's Cove, the movie, it should come up, Devil's Cove movie. Mm-hmm. Yes, Devil's Cove, I'm just bringing it up now, just a Devil's Cove. If you just put in Devil's Cove, it will come there. And we're kind of posting updates up there right now. And then obviously, you know, when we get our online release in February, we're gonna, you know, there'll be more stuff. We'll obviously be posting about where you can buy the film, etc.
Mm-hmm. And how about yourself? Not like follow yourself around town, but how can people follow you online?
Through there, I also have a Facebook page, just Chloe Traicos. Just they can find me there, where I just post updates with it. And then I think I am also on Instagram, Chloe Traicos Official, and then Devil's Cove is on Twitter, Devil's Cove. So any one of those.
Mm-hmm. Now I know right now you're focused on Devil's Cove because it's it's got the premiere coming up and everything. But do you have anything planned next?
We've done a ton of festivals, which has been, and the reaction's been great. We've still got a few more festivals that we're going to be targeting, and then of course there's the hopefully the theatrical release will go well, but then and then I guess after that I guess the next big thing is the online release.
Mm-hmm. What are your thoughts on festivals in general? Because I have a lot of independent people on the show, and some people are very pro festivals, and some people are against them.
I love them. I think they're great because they give you that exposure. Mm-hmm. And, I personally love film festivals. I like to see movies that are kind of out there, that are not mainstream, where you get to see new talent, where you get to hear stories that are kind of don't make the mainstream market. Mm-hmm. So I really support film festivals. I think what they do is great. And it just sort of just helps actors, helps directors, helps them get their work out there.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I agree. I went to my first one earlier this year, Boston Underground Film Festival, and it was a great experience seeing all the movies and talking to the people who made them and the actors and everything. And I think they're a great time for me, just as press, and it seems like it's a good way to get the name out there, and also to meet other people who you might collaborate with in the future.
Okay, yeah, for sure, absolutely. You do. You meet, you do. It's great.
Mm-hmm. Will you work with Eric again on like future projects?
Oh, absolutely, yes, no, for sure. I do. I mean, I most definitely will.
Yeah, very cool. Well, I appreciate you coming and talking to me today about Devil's Cove, and I hope people check it out. And I hope if they're in the area, they go see it, because it's great to watch a movie on the computer, your TV, but to me, there's nothing like watching on the big screen.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. It's great. No, thank you so much. I really appreciate that.
Good. Thank you.
No worries. Have a good one.
You as well.
Bye.
Bye. Bye.
Hi, this is Jill 6, and you're listening to withoutyourhead.com.